My name's Sarah Robinson. I work for the Forest Bowland AOMB and I'm the peat restoration officer delivering biodiversity projects up in the uplands. We're here today in the Aberstead Estate Office and this is Rob.
Hi.
Rob is the land manager at the estate. This is Richard.
Hi.
Who is a resident in the Loon Valley.
Yep.
So, Rob, what are we going to do today?
Well, basically we're going to talk about the works we've done so far here at the estate. It's in the office here, and then in a short while we'll head up onto the fell. Hopefully the weather's going to be a bit more friendly. We've got about 30 miles of tracks on the estate. They're really helpful for us, but they're also helpful for emergency services and wildlife control. We're on the watershed. This is the wire catchment this side. On the other side of the fence is the loon catchment that runs into the Roban and then which eventually goes into the Loon. On a nice clear day you can actually see the three peaks from here, Pennygent, Ingleborough and Whernside, across to the Howgills and then further up into the Loon catchment and then across to the Lake District as well. On this direction you can see the rest of the Bowland Fells, Hawthorne, Thwaite Fell, Langdon, and across here there's Wolfhole Crag as well.
So we're right up on the watershed between the wire, which is going this way, and the Loon behind us. And believe it or not, this area of Bare Peat gets really droughted in the summer. So what we're doing is helping to re-wet this Bare Peat by putting in hydrological cells, which are very simple, low wooden buns. And as you can see in front of us here, that helps to hold the water back right from the top of the catchment. And in front of us you'll see some brown vegetation which is already colonising the peat, and this is common cotton grass, and without the grazing, because we're in a fenced off area here, that can colonise the peat really quickly, which stabilises the peat, stops the erosion. So in front of us here you can see some wool filled logs. The contractors use these to slow the flow of water, but also if you look you can see there's a flat pan of peat. That's all redeposited peat, so we're preventing that peat being eroded out down into the streams below. And this will revegetate really quickly with the seed and the heather brush that we're going to put on next. Okay, so here we're looking at some peat dams, and these are produced completely by the digger. It's a very skilled job. I'm standing on one here and it's holding back water behind it, but if you turn and look this way in front of us, following this tiny stream down, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 further down, and behind each one there's a little pool has collected, and that is slowing the flow of water, increasing the infiltration of the water into the peat, producing little habitats and fitting in with the landscape. I talked about peat being redeposited as part of this project. Just beside us here you can see the original top of the vegetation surface, and where I'm standing here you can see that we've already lost a good metre, possibly 2 metres of peat has already gone. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we keep as much of the rest of the peat here as possible. That helps to lock in carbon and keeps the uplands wet. So just in front of us here we've got these timber dams. These have been in place for the last about 8 weeks, and you can see that they're stepping down the slope, holding water back at each one. Some of them have a little notch in, that's to make sure that they don't hold as much water as to blow the dam out, and then it just pops down into the next pool. This area here again will be revegetated in the summer, and we would fully expect these little pools to be populated by the upland dragonfly species that we find up on the fells. The water will be inoculated with sphagnum and will start to make things look a lot more natural and as they would normally have been. down in front of us here we've got some sphagnum moss, which is a really amazing collection of species. They like really long, holds lots of water, and this is what the peat is made of in the main. That over time this is squashed down over thousands of years and becomes the peat. But you can see that it also holds a huge amount of water, and we're trying to get this more wet enough so that we can have more and more of this carbon capturing, peat forming sphagnum. So what we do is take balls of the sphagnum. I'm going to give this to Rob.
Yep, you grab a little bit more. All you need to do, as long as you take it from, if it's in a pool, it needs to go into a pool, and if it's on flat sort of ground, it needs to go on flat ground. So this is a pool species. So all I'll do is take this across one of these newly formed pools and inoculate that pool with it, and then in a few years' time it'll grow up into like a little flush like this, hopefully. Bare peat is good for nobody really. Peat is 60% carbon. When it's eroding, it's either released into the environment, into the atmosphere, or is dissolved into the river. So it's basically a loss, and basically the whole hill is going down the river. Yeah. Up here, the peat is like a growing medium for the heather and the cotton grass and the sphagnum. It's not just grouse as well. Things like golden plover, dunlin, and occasionally dotterel nests here up on the top of Ward Stone. So by improving this habitat, it's got a lot of benefits for a lot of different species. Yeah, basically there was a similar piece of work to what we're doing here on the other side of the fell, on Brennan Fell. That was started in 2008, 2009. The revegetation work now, it's just coming to fruition. It's really just holding its own. It's still a bit too sensitive to reintroduce grazing sheep to the area, but it's starting to hold its own. So yeah, we're looking at probably a 10-year scale before we're back to sort of doing what it's going to provide those sort of benefits. So basically, what's happening here is the guys are mowing the heather making heather brush basically, and that's going to be transported up to the top of the site to be spread onto bare peat. So there's a lot of moss in the bottom of there, and that moss helps sort of consolidate the surface of the peat, and that gives a really good like a seed bed for the seed to grow from.
So we're here at the heather cutting site. This is Tom, and he's going to show us how this machine, do you think it's called an EB?
An EB, yeah. It's an EB Alpine tractor, which is very light and has a really low ground pressure. We have a flail on the front which does the mowing, and then a belt rake on the back so we can rake up the heather ready to spread.
Here we've got a peat hag edge which hasn't been reprofiled yet. It's got a really steep slope. You can see the peat is disappearing from underneath the vegetation as the drip edge, the water from the edge of the vegetation, is eroding the peat down and away downstream. Over this side we've got one that Tom has just finished. So what he did was he peeled back the vegetation on top of the hag. He reprofiled the edge of the peat to make the angle much more shallow, and then he's relaid the vegetation back on top. You'll see there's no drip edge here now, so there's a lot less erosion of the peat by the water. Moving it. So what we can see here are some orange flags and those show the locations of where the contractors have decided to put in the timber dam. So you can see some are already in, and you can see the line of flags go all the way up the hill. There's some white ones up there as well, and that's where they're going to put peat dams. So where there is peat in the bottom of the stream, they use a peat dam. Where all the peat has gone on it, you're down to the underlying bedrock and gravel, then they use a timber dam. So the conditions at the particular place determine what type of dam that they put in.
At the moment, well, on the untreated sites, you see big peak of flood. Down at the office, for instance, about 45 minutes after a sort of like a storm event, the river will come up, and that does a lot of damage lower down in the lower catchment. We're hoping by doing this sort of work to extend that out to maybe 4 hours, just to give the infrastructure lower down the valley more time to sort of cope with that increase in flood volume.
Nice flow.
Yeah, definitely.
More steady flow around the side.
Yeah.
Now we're back down off the fell. It's been quite a wet day today, but that has allowed us to see exactly what's happening and to see the impact of where the buns are creating pools. So, Richard, what are your impressions of what we've seen today?
Well, it's just, I've never seen anything like it before, and to see how it works in the weather like it is makes such a difference. You can see the amount of water held up there by the system. It's amazing. And you can see the effect it's going to have on the amount of water coming down the fells. Yeah. It's just been a brilliant experience, even though I am soaked to the skin.